Now, once again, Libya's new leaders and a spokesman for the National Transitional Council refusing to comment on reports that they know where Muammar Gaddafi is. What he did talk about is the week that remains for further negotiations leading to the surrender they are demanding of the last holdout towns still loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. He said they're trying to avoid bloodshed at all costs. CNN's Nic Robertson joins us now on the line with the latest from Libya. He has spoken to Saif al-Islam Gaddafi and joins us now. Nick, what did he tell you?
Jonathan, I spoke with Sadi Gaddafi, Saif al-Islam's brother. Sadi Gaddafi told me that he'd been trying to negotiate with rebel leaders to organize a ceasefire around the town of Bani Walid. He's been trying to do this for some time, but he told me the talks had been going well to organize a ceasefire for Bani Walid so that the growing and readying National Transitional Council military forces about to advance on it wouldn't need to do it, that there could be an avoidance of bloodshed. But he told me when his brother's speech, when Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's speech was broadcast just a couple of days ago, he said that's when things broke down with the National Transition Council. That's when the deal, the ceasefire that they were working on, that he felt was getting close, that's when it broke down. He said right now he believes the National Transition Council has several hundred vehicles ready and waiting to go into Bani Walid. He doesn't sense that there's any point in negotiating right now because he thinks the National Transitional Council is committed to its offensive on Bani Walid, which he believes will come from two directions. He says there are people in Bani Walid who want to avoid bloodshed, and he wants to try and organize that, but he doesn't see a lot of likelihood. I asked him, does he know where his father is or Saif is? He told me that he hadn't seen them for 2 months. I asked him where he was. He described himself as being a little bit outside of Bani Walid. He told me that in the recent days he'd been moving around a lot and had not had a lot of time to watch television. It seems that his options are running out. He said that he trusts the National Transition Council military commander, Abdul Hakim Belhaj, who he's been talking to. He trusts him, finds him to be a decent man. But it does seem at the moment, from his perspective, that the options for a ceasefire are not in existence right now, Jonathan.
Nick, just to put this in context, you are describing a conversation you've just had with one of Muammar Gaddafi's sons. Gaddafi has a big family, but we've been concentrating on two sons in particular. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, who has been the more prominent of the two sons and in recent days has been as fiery and as his father in his rhetoric against Western powers, against the Libyan rebels. You have been talking with Sadi al-Gaddafi, who has been more conciliatory from the start, who was discussing the need and appealing for the possibility of negotiation. But now you're saying even he says negotiations have reached a dead end?
From his perspective, he says that he is keen and willing to keep trying, but he feels that the National Transitional Council have made their mind up that they're going to attack Bani Walid, to take control of Bani Walid. And he says his understanding is that the ceasefire negotiations were going well until Saif Gaddafi, his brother's angry speech, as he described it, just a couple of days ago. That's when he said the situation ran out of, or at least the negotiations ran aground. His perception is that right now there is nothing to talk about because the National Transitional Council doesn't want a ceasefire. He says that he sees his position right now as neutral, that he is neither in his father's camp nor in the rebels' camp, to use his words, and that he wants to use his position and whatever influence he has, which in the past has been overruled by his father and by his brother. He has not been one of the more powerful political players within the family. He wants to use whatever powers and influence he has to try and avoid bloodshed in Bani Walid. This is something he's been saying and working on for some time, John.
Now, the split between the two brothers was obvious when they gave those completely opposing appeals just a few days ago. Saif talking about war, Sadi talking about peace. But now it sounds like Sadi is actually turning on his brother and blaming him for the state of affairs today.
He is, and what was very noticeable about those speeches when they came on late Thursday was that they came almost one after another. It seemed that Saif al-Islam's speech came first, and then Sadi Gadhafi's speech came right after that, as if he was reacting to it. And it certainly does indicate a split in the family, and it seemed to indicate it on Thursday as well. But now, I think from my conversation with him, it's very clear that he says he hasn't seen his Saif or his father for 2 months, he said, and he does say absolutely that it was Saif's speech that derailed the negotiations to avoid bloodshed that he was involved in. So he is taking a more conciliatory position, and he does seem to have set himself aside from his family. But of course, most people in Libya would really view this as a step way too late, that this is a man with the sins of the regime on his hands, and there's little that he can do and say now that's going to change their view. The NTC government officials that I've talked to, the Deputy Prime Minister in particular, said that Sadi Gadhafi is welcome to come over to the rebel side, but he will face a legal process and be put on trial for crimes that he may have committed. So this is a man, it seems, Sadi Gadhafi, who essentially, it looks like, is running out of options at the moment.